Hey everybody, what up? Skuff here, and doing a little bit of an update challenge throwdown video. This here is a Duel showcase. I received an invite challenge, as it were, from Lord Lancelot. Lord Lancelot is another content streamer. I'll make sure to put a link to his page in the comments for this video, as well as I think it's on my subscriptions. It's hard. YouTube has kind of changed the layout for my recommended channels that I put out there. I try to recommend all the content guys that I'm subscribed to. But I think a couple weeks ago he did a Night Households duel with Skypoint, and this time around it's a Night Households duel with Lord Lancelot and myself. So I'm going to do a little showcase. So first off, we tried to do a mix of all the Night Households cards. I don't have all of the Night Household cards. I don't know if he has all of them either. We both essentially elected not to have House Vironi in our deck. I don't have it, so it's not even an option. We excluded that out there. And he has actually got the Chasis chassis. I don't have that, but we wanted to kind of showcase a mix and match of everything and just games versus games and see who's the best out of 5 games. So I built 5 different decks for each of those matches, just to kind of change thing up here. And what I want to do is I want to do a breakdown of each of the decks. Then I'm going to do a replay, show you what the replay, how the game went, show you the results, then go into the next deck, what things I made with that deck, what was the focus for it, kind of break that down for you. And then, so the course of this, you're going to get 5 different decks, 5 different thought processes, 5 different games, and ultimately find out how the throwdown went. How did the duel went? Who was the victor? So as you can see here, I've got 5 different decks, and we started off basically kind of in order. Actually, this is the order that I went with. I went with Castorus Orlac first, then Castorus Vironi, Castorus Maccabeus, Cerastus Orlac. Actually, I think I started Cerastus first, and then Cerastus. I go in order of rarity. I think that's what it is. So I try to mix and match, and each deck's a little different. The first game, I started off with the standard, like, oh, Cerastus Orlac, let's just do it. But I want to do something a smidge different here. So there's some cards that I threw in here. Now, keep in mind, as we're building these decks, I know that I'm playing knights and he's playing knights. I'm not sure what his pilot is going to be or what the specifics are going to be. So there's some cards I opted to include and others I opted not to. Graviton Cannon felt like a must. I actually skimped low on the flame cannons in several of my decks just because Night Households, I maybe want to punch a little bit harder with battle cannons, or some other high attack card. I actually skipped on the las cannons altogether, the 9 cost to deal 5 damage to 2 different enemies. I don't know if I regret that. Hell Rider I just put in there as an option to get rid of some servitors cheap. I love House Erthagen. I think that's how that's how I pronounce it. So I threw those in there. You can never go wrong with shields, as well as other shields. The draw card. Threw a little healing in there too, just as a pinch. Kind of felt like, why not? Let's give it a go. Personally, I have a personal preference for Sidon protocols. This deck here, in all honesty, has only had like 2 or 3 changes to it. This was actually no, I take that back. My Questorus Orlac is the one that's least changed. You've got your Tech Priest, you've got your Storm Rockets. It just feels like just your standard. Okay, there's nothing super special about this deck. This is just Cerastus Orlac, draw cards, create plasma, blow things up with battle cannon, get to use Hecaton Claw or Graviton Cannon. That's the strategy behind it. So let's see how it went. One thing before I forget is that all these games were played on Thursday night. These games were played Thursday night, which was January 7th. I saved all the replays so I could edit them and then make a video kind of in this format: deck list, game, replay, highlights, etc., etc. The game patch update that took place last night affects several cards that were used in these games. Munition Depot number 1, as well as I believe a House Orlac tactic was used. So that's going to affect this game. a little bit, especially for the Cerastus Warlord who doesn't start with an extra card. So just a forewarning, some of these replays are going to be slightly buggy. I'm going to do my best to explain what actually happened. The results should still be self-explanatory. Okay, so starting off here, again, we're starting off in this game that we played. I actually had an additional card in my hand that I don't have. So that's just not going to be an option. And he's playing Maccabeus. He's got a great pilot ability to choose a weapon, put it in your hand, giving himself the terraforming. That's a smart move. Again, this was played before the balance patch update. So he terraformed for a munitions depot. That's a good strong turn. Not only did he do that, he created a weapon in his hand. Not gonna fault him for that. I'm gonna go for the extra plasma pump, and I've got to take him down as quickly as possible. Why? Because I know from experience that Maccabeus having the option to create weapons every turn, that's dangerous. It's really powerful. It can whiff. Sometimes he can get the option to just create like a chain blade or something like that. Nothing fantastic. But he has a pretty good chance of creating graviton cannons, battle cannons, shields, and the longer a game goes with Maccabeus, the higher chance is that he's going to pull out the stops, pull out what he needs, and finish the game with one of those crucial cards. So I need to hit him hard. I need to hit him fast. Hopefully whittle down his plasma a smidge so that he can't use repeating weapons a lot, whether that's Flamer or even Graviton. Using Graviton once might be sufficient to drain his supply. It's really hard to say, but he's got that blessed Blessed of Mars that adds the 2 plasma. So it's really kind of a losing battle out the gate. He's got Flamer, he's got Suppression. I don't have any weapons showing up in this hand, and I think that's actually as a bug, as a replay, as a result of the changes made to the card, because you're going to see here somehow magically I get 2 weapons, and that's really weird. And this targeting, I blew something up that didn't happen. I'm not sure why. It says no valid target. Those weapons didn't just appear. Those were actually in my hand. I'm not sure what change exactly took place in the game to make that not visible, but this is actually a legit play. I did have those things, but it's not enough to do anything here. And now he's got a battle cannon as well. He's going to generate more plasma than me on his turn, unless I'm using my Warlord's ability to generate plasma, which isn't bad. That's actually a pretty good ability. I could sit back, but I've got to take those guns off. So the pressure is really more on so to get rid of those weapons. If I can create a position where he has to spend energy to use his Warlord's ability, to use Maccabeus' ability to create weapons, his Warlord isn't going to attack, and he's going to spend energy that way. Unfortunately, he got the Corrupted off, so he didn't. I was hoping he was going to spend some resources to get rid of my Archmagos, but he stole it instead, which is worse, but that's probably the best thing that could have happened for him, so we'll take it. It is what it is. And obviously this battle can here cost 1 in the actual game as a result of the munitions depot, so he was able to take off my weapons, and I had none, which is not a position that you want to be in. You want to have weapons. You want to have the ability to do some damage. Again, I apologize for the replay, for the bugs issues here. This is all these replays are being shown after the update. Now, that is correct. I did have those 2, and I think those 2 cards here are in place of the Auto Simulacra and the Flame Cannon. I don't think these are actual legit cards that were in my hand. And I'm hoping I can get to Graviton in 9 energy and blast him, but it's really a race because, sure enough, he had Maccabeus. He's got that munitions depot, and 2 turns earlier, he's just able to bait me. Now, ideally, you want to deal with munitions depot as soon as you quickly can, especially in a Knights game. It at the time, I'm not sure following the changes how powerful it's going to be, but at the time, munitions depot becomes a great turn 2 distraction because you cannot ignore it. I chose to ignore it, hoping that I was going to be doing enough damage and enough to get to that Graviton early on. And also I knew that at this point, with the plasma generation that he had and him getting battle cannon as well as flame cannon, it really was going to be a losing battle, and it was more of a battle of attrition. How far can I go to hopefully pull out the stops? And unfortunately, the answer is not far enough. He's able to wrap it up right there and pretty much polish off the game. And I think the replay stops here because actually I think that was the end game, Rosario. So that's a victory for Lord Lancelot with Cerastus Maccabeus. All right, so next we're going to take a look at Questoris. The next thing I did Questoris Vironi, if I remember correctly. Questoris Vironi was my second game, and with Questoris Vironi, this deck list here, I went with a close combat approach. I think Vironi is a little overlooked because she doesn't do anything with plasma. She is not generating weapons, but her ability to add health to your weapons is really cool for 2 energy, and she can act again. And I've had multiple games that I've gotten weapons up to like 15, 18 health. It's tricky because sometimes she doesn't survive herself. She's got weapons that have got more health than the main warlord body, so that's kind of a juggling balance. But again, if I can get a shield, if I can get battle cannon, I can keep those around so much longer, and then I can really stick it. And just the key really comes down to getting that favorite of Mars. You need to have favorite of Mars on there. Questoris chassis is fantastic for that because it starts with that extra energy, and that makes a huge turn 1, turn 2. By turn 2, I can get favorite of Mars on, and I am set. By turn 1, I can throw down a maintenance servitor. I can throw down a battle cannon if I want to. That's a little bit tricky. Or I could throw down, a shock lance if I'm playing against troops and use that as a first strike. So that's got the main punch. Get close combat weapons on. Keep them on with her ability and deal damage. Burst out with House Maccabeus for +4, which is this is just a sick card that does not need to stay this way. And then use like Hecaton Claw at the end if I banked up enough. You'll note there's no Graviton Cannon in this deck. That was a choice because ideally we've got a low health warlord. We don't have as much healing in this. This game has to close with those close combat attacks, with those sneak attacks, with that House Arthurian. This game needs to close with those cards, and I cannot really afford to bank on a 10 energy strategy. So that's where we're going with this one here. Okay, so Questoris Vironi versus his Questoros Maccabeus. And as it turned out, actually, Lord Lancelot went with Maccabeus as his pilot for all of the games. I chose different pilots to mix it up, to give a little bit of variety. I think he went with Orlac in all of his games against Lancelot. So this matchup here, he went with Maccabeus. So whoever he's squaring off next, he should do all Vironi. So just a little tip for anybody who's facing off against him, expect Vironi. But this is another good example, actually, of why I like Questoris chassis with Elsbeth 4, because her turn 1 start, you either have 2 energy to use her ability on no weapons, or you're using 2 energy to maybe deploy a troop, and there's not too many 2 energy troops. But with 3 energy, you can do a lot more. You can use her ability, you can play a 1 energy troop, you can play a 3 energy troop like Munitions Depot, you can put on a battle cannon right away and begin to pump that up on your next turn. There's a lot more options that you can do with that extra energy that go a long ways for her ability right out the gate, as opposed to with the Cerastus chassis, you start with extra plasma, but that's all you're doing. And that's just a killer attack right there. That's a perfect example of why House Maccabeus is just nutso. However, I can add 3 to the health of that, and I can do this little House of Therigan. I can juice myself up a little bit and deal some damage of my own, as it were. And now he has no weapon. I've got a battle cannon still operational. If he can't get rid of this battle cannon on his turn, I'm going to juice it up higher, and it's going to stick around for a bit. So I'm okay with that. He has no weapons here. Even though I'm operating skin of my teeth, cards in hand wise, I'm feeling pretty comfortable with what I've got. And I do choose to throw down the Servitor versus juicing the battle cannon just because I need the plasma. If I'm going to throw down that battle cannon every turn without right now a Blessed of Mars or a Favorite of Mars, then I need to have plasma usage, and he's going to have to deal with it. And he's got the flame cannon, Completely understandable. Completely understandable. So just in the same way that, you know, he had to get rid of get my battle cannon down to 1, I've got to get his flame cannon off. And he's going to go with the second flame cannon, and this is going to get dicey. On the plus side, he's got 2 plasma. That's it. I've got more plasma. I'm feeling okay about that. And I've got enough in me right now to get rid of his weapons. And he's going to lose 2 flame cannons as a result. And it is worth it for me. We are playing fast and furious. You know, he could bring out some healing and get those back. And if I let that be, then I'm not in a good position. He's just going to whittle me down for 2. So I'd rather get rid of those as quickly as possible. Now, Laxus Nebula is a really good card. That's a smart play. It gives his warlord you know, ward, so he's buying himself a turn from being targeted by the battle cannon. I think that's really a smart play. Dig it. However, it's really just kind of buying him a time here in this game. I think it's really more important against Graviton Cannon, and it works well because I could still attack him for 2. I could pump him up, attack him for 3 with the Shock Lance, but I'm going to go with the battle cannon and then heal with the Archmagos, because he's bought himself some time. He's only got 3 cards in hand. That last turn he was fishing. He's looking for something. He's got all this plasma. He's got nothing. He's going to have to use his Warlord now to either create a weapon and hope for a Graviton or something worthwhile, or he's just going to be putting bodies down to try to throw me off, and it's not going to be good enough. And again, House Orlok, he played that card. I'm not sure if that's actually what he had. I don't know if we're going to get some bug issues here with that or not. No, I think that might be a legit action. We'll see. I think I steal his servitor because I don't want him to have it. Yeah. Yep. So far, so good. Oh, and there's a replay here. There's a bug issue. Dang it. I think that shield probably was not a shield. It was probably something else, in which case that shield wouldn't have saved him, and that would have been the end of the game. So, result, victory, Questoris Virone. So we saw Questoris Virone, and on the other end of that, I wanted to highlight Cerastus Virone. This says Cerastus Orlok. I think that's a pre-existing from the Warlord that I had in there before I changed out the Warlord and did a little bit different. So this is Cerastus Orlok, which is going to play differently. You're going to see that right off the bat. Now you'll note that I have got a lot less close combat in this deck. I don't have the House Maccabeus card. I don't have the like the first strike weapons. I'm really banking a lot on getting to Graviton Cannon or Magnalas Cannon, keeping it alive, and with her ability, giving it +3 health, and then getting enough plasma with Favorite of Mars, as well as your standard, maintenance servitors. Even a plasma generator at this point, I'm just really hoping to bank that. You'll note that I don't have any Graviton Claw or anything like that. It's really get to that 9-10 energy weapon, keep that 9-10 energy weapon alive, as well as an Ion Gauntlet shield. And you can hit me all you want, but you can't get rid of my shield, you can't get rid of my gun. The idea is to stay alive. So I've got 2 munition depots as a result of that. I've also got the plasma regulators in here, just for some additional healing, just to mix it up. So different deck, but that's the strategy that I went with this deck. Sit back and zap and keep my zappers alive. So to that end, we are now facing off against another Questoris Maccabeus, which I know is not a great game. I'm going to keep that Graviton Cannon in my hand because I'm going to hope that I get a munitions depot and I'm able to play it cheap. Normally that's a card that'll bounce back in my deck, but I've got nothing else to do except well, that's really weird. I paid 1 energy to do what? To give myself more plasma? I'm going to have to apologize right out the gate because I'm already thinking suspiciously that this game might be buggy. This replay might be buggy here right out the gate, guys. I'm not sure how big of a swing that's going to be. I don't know. I'm okay. All right. And I kept the battle cannon around again in this hand because I wanted to have it for later to do some damage that way. Also, just that House Maccabeus card is just nasty. He's going to come out here with 7 damage. He's going to get rid of that shield almost right out the gate, and it's going to force me to really pump up the health of my troops, or not my troops, my weapons quickly with my Warlord's ability. Not thrilled that I've got to go that route, but I'm going to go that route. And do I shield and then face strike? Yes, I do. No, I don't. Oh, because I'm keeping the shield for his turn. I want to force him to do that, exactly that. Unfortunately, he's got the ability to drop a weapon and then hit me hard with it, and it's nasty. And I kind of wonder, I think this game here, I think at some point, well, let's watch this. Let's see what happens here, because I don't have a good feeling about this game with the bugs and the replays. I'm not recalling it how I want to recall it. I do have a favorite of Mars on. So I've got Reactor 2. Somehow I played that, and you didn't see it. Yeah, I think Favorite of Mars was probably there in place of Battle Cannon, and I don't actually have that Battle Cannon. Which is why I haven't played Munitions Depot, because it's only going to lower the cost of Graviton. Not in a great place. Without digesting all the bugs and issues, one thing I do have to say is, quite frankly, I think Horus Maccabeus is my favorite. Combination. That's the one that I play quite frequently. I like the energy boost at the start of the game. I like the speed that he can get to. I like the options. But the biggest thing that I like about Horus Maccabeus, having the Maccabeus pilot, having Markan Hrothman as your pilot, allows you to have huge deck building potential, because he essentially gives you the option to say, you know what, don't put any weapons in your deck. That's a little reckless. I think I usually have about 4 weapons in my deck, but don't put any weapons in your deck and watch what happens. Have fun. You now have 30 cards to go wild with other strategies. And I think that's a really smart move. I really like that design. I would like to see another pilot that does something similar. You know, I don't know how, because weapons are kind of the key focus. I don't know if he would do something like, you know, draw a card or give yourself shield. That seemed bonkers, but if it takes away cards that they already use in their deck, maybe it's not such a bad idea. I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe put in play a tech servitor. Hard to say. But again, you're seeing the power of Maccabeus. He's got a never-ending supply of weapons. He can pump out more battle cannons. Who knows how many more that he's got in his hand. On the upside, anytime he puts down a close combat weapon, then that kind of helps take his Warlord off of the table. Now see, again, invalid target. What did I do? It's all buggy issued. Didn't attack with it. I don't think that's the way it really went here, guys. And the game ends with this Graviton cannon regardless. So, good game. Unfortunately, the replay is not fantastic. I really hope, if you're not thrilled with these replays here, by the quality of these replays, and that's a victory for House for Lord Lancelot. So if you're keeping track, that's 1 victory Skuff, 2 victories Lord Lancelot. If you're not thrilled with the replays there, take a look at Lord Lancelot's videos. I'm not sure how he recorded, if he recorded them live or if he's doing replays like myself. If he already did his editing, I'm pretty sure he did that in advance. So you might get a little bit more actual game action as it went down without card error issues. We're going to take a look next at my Horus Maccabeus, and this is the deck that I was really happy about. This is, again, this deck, I've been playing this deck for a long time, a lot of games with this deck, a lot of good success with this deck. I'm going to, again, share my strategy here. This deck here, if you count, you've got 2, you've got 3, you've got 4, and that's it. 4 weapons. Everything else in this deck is structures, troops, tactics. Maximum healing. Again, side-on protocols, combined arms, plasma regulators. Can be a pinch if my opponent has used all the hard removal on my other troops or my Archmagos. Maximum healing to endure and last to that long end game, and then get a battle cannon or 2 battle cannons or a graviton cannon, whatever the case may be. That's really the strategy. It's a little bit of a gamble to pull those. Sure. I left this deck pretty much as it is as I've been playing it. I think, yeah, I didn't change anything. The Pi Alpha's in there, the Ekratrez is in there. Those are cards probably in a normal matchup I would have taken out, like if I was just squaring off against Knights. But I left this deck as it was because I wanted to see how it would work. Again, I left Hellrider in there. Not as amazing, but if you get Hellrider out turn 1 with the Questoris ability, you've got 2 extra Chain Blades to rely on for close combat, plus the Terror ability is a way to go. So let's take a look at the next game. All right, and we are squaring off against a Cerastus Chassis. Again, Cerastus Maccabeus versus Questoris Maccabeus. And he's going to be making a weapon, and I'm going to be making a weapon, I think, unless I draw. No, I'm going to be putting out the Servitor. That's what I'm doing. Because I need plasma, I need a distraction, I need healing options, and I've got the Chain Blade. I'm going to keep that around for a little bit. The 3 energy is really what I like it, because you could burn your first turn creating a weapon if you have nothing else to do. But if you've got a handful of weapons, you could play Munitions Depot, you could play Maintenance Server, you could play a Tech Emissary of Mars, and then use your ability. There's a lot of things that he can do. You're not seeing it in my hand, but apparently I had a Favorite of Mars, and I'm wondering why Favorite of Mars is not showing in the draws. But it feels like a good start. The problem is, now I've got to get some weapons to capitalize on it, right? I've got some healing. Let's give me something. What's my juice? What's my options? So we're going to start getting into that. And Graviton Cannon, boom. All right, let's do it. Let's get to that key juncture. Next turn, I can throw down Munitions Depot and start getting some reduced cost Gravitons and get to that point earlier in the game. That's the idea. That's the strategy. And now that I think about it, maybe Munitions Depot isn't the card that I got. Maybe that was a Favorite of Mars instead of the Storm. Yeah. I think that is related to the replay issues with the bug. Interesting. Okay. All right. Fair enough. So we're going to make ourselves a second weapon. Because I'm not going to attack just yet. I'm going to go into healing mode, shield mode, and we're going to turtle up and get ready to move into our next turn. Again, this deck here, this House Maccabeus deck, is a slow deck. It's designed to be slow. It's designed to turtle up, take it, and get to those turns where I'm throwing down Graviton Cannon. And then I throw down a second Graviton Cannon if I need to. That's the whole point. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about blowing a turn or two of not attacking, because it doesn't need to be as aggressive. It's a sit back and shoot type of night. There are many games that I've ended with 2 Graviton guns on both sides because they've been created by the Warlord, and I bring a Warlord down from like 20 to 10 and then use the other one on my next turn and finish off the game. Plasma can become an issue, but as you've seen here, I've got Favorite of Mars, so that is not going to be a problem. The problem at this point is now surviving and getting my Graviton off, and clearly that is not a Munition Depot that I drew. Otherwise, it would have been down and reducing the cost of my Gravitons. So we're going to have to get to 10 energy before I can use anything. The problem is here, what you're not seeing, and I think this is going to cause a bug in the replay, the Munition Depot rally effect is not in this game on the replay, but it was a factor in the actual game. And in this turn, or the turn later, he does... yeah, it's this turn. It's not cool. I'm not thrilled with it, and I know a lot of people, this is a gripe that people have with the Knights, and I agree with them 100% completely. Having the ability to use an arm, use a weapon, put another weapon on, use that weapon, put another weapon on, triple dip on your weapon spots feels very cheesy. It is. It feels cheesy because it is cheesy. It's not cool. It's not cool. And I actually must be down 2 cards in my hand because my hand is at maximum here, and I'm playing stuff that I don't actually have. Ugh, replays. Such is the way. But yeah, he's got plasma. He's got enough to just fire and blow off my shield, drop my health. I am now in full defensive mode. There's no way I'm going to get to 10 energy at this rate, even with, get out Ekratrez or some other healing. The Pi Alpha, it's just not going to happen. He battle cannons, he shields, he draws. I'd have to face strike and get the Graviton off and survive at this next round, and it's not looking pretty, guys. Finally get the option for a weapon. And so unfortunately, guys, that was a bug issue. Replay and House Maccabeus, my Questoris Maccabeus, did not survive that matchup. Again, hopefully the Lord Lancelot replay or video recording went a little bit smoother, didn't have those issues at the time that he was doing that, so you can see the full game if you want to break it down. But that just munition depot rally effects, making his battle cannons cheaper, and then multiple battle cannons dropping my weapons down to a point where there's nothing I could have done about it. And I think he brought out a graviton cannon at 8 energy 2 turns before I could have brought out my graviton cannons. This is a prime example. That game, as buggy as it was, is a prime example of why the change needed to munitions depot was necessary in terms of taking away that rally effect, because it is a big pain. It makes a problem with pacing within the game, huge unfair advantage. So with all that said, we go into our final game. I just realized I didn't have my headphones in as I'm talking. So with all that said, hopefully the audio is a smidge better now. We go into the final matchup, which I'm just going to throw down as Questoris Orlok. So we've gone through all the pilots. We did Maccabeus once, but I really wanted to showcase Varoni and Orlok because I don't get to do these guys a whole lot. If you're keeping track, that is Lord Lancelot, 3 wins, Skuff D, 1 win. We go into the final game. This is for honor at this point. Wipe out the sour taste from my mouth from that last defeat. And we're going to go against his Chasis chassis. So he has the legendary chassis, which creates, when you play a weapon, it gives it +0/+1. That's it. It's not a fantastic ability. It's okay, but it does have 40 health. And that can be very nice for the knights. So out the gate, I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to tank energy. I'm not going to attack because I've got low health. Or am I? Oh, I'm going to attack because I've got the counterattack card. That's right. Always use that counterattack card. Get some juice, get some extra juice and some healing in there if I can. And quite frankly, because I know he's playing Maccabeus, again, we've already talked about how you've got to hit Maccabeus hard and heavy right away. Now that card there has been changed, so I don't know if that's going to cause an issue in this game with the replay. We're already not sitting too great. We're going to have to take it as it is. But I've got some troops down here. We can throw down some bodies and some distractions. We're going to throw down that Sagittari squad. This deck here, when this game is over, we'll take a look at this actual deck. But this is my day 1 Orlok. So when the Knights first came out, when the Knight Households came first out, I just had a few cards to go with. I think I might have added 1 or 2 cards that I got in the course of playing that Knight Household event. This is really just kind of like, I want to play Knights. What cards could be? Well, let's try these things out. Let's throw cards in here. Troops like Sagittari Squad seemed pretty good, right? Hecaton Claw. Let's tank up some energy. It seems like it's a pretty good strategy. And we're going to juice up our weapons, and we're going to start blasting and use that ability every turn if I can to gain plasma. Doing okay here, not overly fantastic, nothing crazy with my hand, but I've got his health down past mine right now, which is really good. So that's a good spot to be. I've got plasma, I've got a gun that's at full health. As long as I can break him or give him some distractions. Now, Melgator must have returned something to hand, and my guess is he returned a munitions depot. So there's a big issue here with replays, but you saw munitions depot. You didn't see munitions depot came out, but one actually came out. And again, go check out Lord Lancelot's video, and hopefully he's got a better, less buggy issue here. But there was a unit that got returned, and we're forcing him to deal with units on the board here. Stay away from my warlord. Don't hit my warlord, please. Don't punch me in the face. Punch my troops in the face. And that's it. That's where the bug issues. That's where it ends. So who knows what he did. At this point, I cannot recall. I don't know if he put out another weapon or if he put out a second munitions depot. Darn it, because I really wanted to showcase this game because it was victory. It was victory Skuff D. So at the end of the day, we have 2 victories for Skuff D, 3 victories for Lord Lancelot. Sadly, they were buggy. Sadly, there was issues there, unfortunately, for you to see the whole game. However, we're going to take a look at this deck, like I said. This is kind of the day one deck that I had here. Had some extra front lines in there. Skitarii Protector, double Sagittarius Squad, just some things like Pepper and Choose. Turn 1 Asteroid Belt seems like a good idea with the chassis. They can start with 1 extra energy. Hecaton Claw. I threw in some weapons. I probably should have thrown in more weapons, quite frankly. When you look at this layout, you're like, where's the shields? Where's the, where's all the stuff? This was really, I didn't have those cards when I built this deck. And I built this deck with what I had. And that's where we end up getting. So we end up with a victory with that. So I prefer, quite frankly, I know people a lot of say, oh, Cerastus starts with extra energy. I, hands down, always choose Questoris. I think that is just a better chassis. I think you have a better game start than just having extra energy. Having the ability to put down troops on the board, support cards, use your ability in conjunction with other cards, makes for a much more effective card, a much more effective warlord. So, that's it. That's my breakdown. That's 5 nights. 5 nights games. Very buggy, unfortunately, replays. These replays would have done a lot better had there not been a balanced patch last night, and I'm sad by that, but at the same time I'm glad that I know that Lord Lancelot recorded his games as well, so there is at least some other record out there, hopefully not as buggy. So that's it. That was a good throwdown. It was fun. I was glad I got a couple victories in. I was a little salty about that 4th loss because of the battle cannon juggles. That's just poor form. It's the way the game is. It's the way the game is right now. I get it. It works. I try not to do that in the games myself, and I think he was in a position where he didn't really have any other options, and he had to break me, and he did. So good for that. But in the words of Captain Hook, poor form, Peter. Poor form. But congratulations, Lord Lancelot takes that duel. I don't know if he won against Skypoint or if Skypoint won the victory out there. I'm looking forward to actually seeing who he's facing off against with his House Vironi. So that should be very interesting matchups to see. And I hope I gave him some ideas with the 2 Vironi, 3 Vironi decks that I did. Try to break up some things, and we talked about it afterwards. We talked about some of the strategies and the way that his decks were set up, as well as the cards that I use. I don't think he had really put to use the House Erthagen card, as well as a couple other little nuances. I think there were some cards that we could definitely agree were just like fantastic. I mean, there's nothing wrong with throwing out Flame Cannon or Blessed Simulacra, Battle Cannon, Munitions Depot at the time. But now that it's shifted, that's going to make a big change for the Knights, and I don't think we're done seeing changes for the Knights. I think we're going to see a couple little changes for the Knights. But let me know what you guys thought for the games. Again, apologies for the buggies. Apologies for the issues. I was not able to record these replays with my breakdown and my deck breakdown until just now. But hopefully that's been helpful, and you can compare the games side by side and get a better, bigger picture. Plus, hear his take on what he was thinking I had, or why he played what he played when he played it. So that's it for me, guys. Until next time, keep playing Legions, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.